Yeah. So, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah. So, in the today's session, this is the second day of your FDP on the advanced research methodology. And today I will be covering the charts and data visualization and ending this session with the second half with the exploratory analysis. So, by using Excel. So to start with the data visualization, when we talk about the data visualization, the only thing that comes in your mind is the charts, right? So data visualization is something that is in the form of charts, in that form of something which is visual. It can be in terms of tables. It cannot be only charts, but it can be in the form of tables. So tables and charts both comes under the data visualization, and in Excel there is a provision, and we have different charts where we can have the different visualization. And today we will be creating a dashboard out of the different charts and see how you can strengthen your exploratory analysis. As what we are discussing yesterday, this all can be the part of exploratory analysis, because to know about the data, which is very, very important, to know much more about the data so that you can get much more things out of it. That is why we have to start working on the data and try to extract more and more information so that it can be helpful for you to draw the trends when you are doing actual the research, either a research, or you can do something related to your PhD work, where you can extract something which can be directly or indirectly related to the data, and then that can speak a lot about the data. So to start with, I will be sharing the slides, and then I will be sharing the data with you. So we will be doing charts later. So first we will start with how you can create a dashboard, and you can see that how this dashboard, even if you are working in as an professional also, so you can see that how this dashboard is going to help you. Dashboard, when we talk about the visualization, when we talk about the dashboard, there are many tools which comes into mind. It can be a Power BI, or it can be the pivot kind of thing, or it can be a Tableau, right? But Excel is something which can be approachable, which can be easily adaptable, because you are doing much more analysis in Excel. And if somebody told you to use the Tableau to get those charts, but your data is already in Excel, so you find difficulty in to tune over or to change over in Excel or Tableau or Excel or some different software. So Excel also, when you see the later versions of the Excel, you have different chart options which are available, and that can be used. So chart I will be taking later half of this session. First I will be starting with a dashboard. So a dashboard, what do you mean by dashboard? Any idea about the dashboard, how I can define my dashboard?
Collection of charts.
Collection of chart, yes. It can be a collection of chart. Okay.
Display of main KPIs.
Okay.
Whatever the important things are there, we can visualize in form of the metrics.
Yes. So prior to this, for the collection of chart, you have to do the before step. That is, you have to identify the KPIs, that is key performance indicators. Because there is a particular purpose for making the dashboard. Dashboard is something which can be for the different purpose. It can be for the middle level, it can be for the lower level, it can be for the higher level. So there has to be a certain purpose behind that. And for that purpose, you should know about the KPIs. So that can be the key performance indicators which are going to be used. Maybe I am interested in only only related to my students, right? And my students on maybe my higher authority is more interested in the working of the faculty. They are not much interested in the students, something like that, right? So based on your KPI, you have to identify based on your KPIs, you have to see that what all should be there in your dashboard. Right, so this is how you have to first identify the KPIs. Before KPIs, right, Tanima says that it is a collection of charts, but for creation of the chart, there has to be certain things behind it. That is what Sarvesh said, that you have to identify the KPIs. Anything else? Okay, so I think that is sufficient. You have to identify the KPIs, and once you have identified the KPIs, you have to start based on your objectives. You can sort down with respect to your objectives, and then you can start working on the charts. So if I have this particular data, this data I have taken as random. First, we will discuss this data, and then I will be sharing with you. So it has different columns in place. It has order ID, order date. Then it has, I think this is something related to, this is a customer something, customer ID or something. Then there is a customer name, then address, then this is a superficial data. This is not exact data, but this is some dummy data, which where we can practice and where we can use. Then there is a important, like say when you see that there is a address, customer address, then customer city, customer state, postal address, country. Then there is a person called name as the salesperson working with a particular customer, right? So there is a salesperson, which region he is belonging to. And then there is a ship date, shipper name. Then ship name is also there, ship address, ship city. Then again, there is a postal code, country name, payment type, where the some data is missing as well. Then we have the product name, category, unit place, quantity, revenue, right? So this is a large list of data where you can see that where it is giving you the details of a number of things, right? And if I can go right, okay. So there is a shipping fee also, revenue and shipping fee also, right? So this is a large amount of data which has many more information which is there. So the first and the foremost thing is, as in the last class we have discussed, there are some measures, means there are some numeric values or numeric columns which can be used and which can be identified as for your measuring the things, right? Measuring, which can be identified as measures. And there are certain containers that are basically, the containers are basically your category kind of thing. So when you see that there are different columns which are there, and supposingly if I want to identify, or if I want to create my KPIs, and I have to find out, like my KPIs or any organization KPIs is more related to the revenue, right? So if I want to do something for this organization, then I can say that which product, if I forget about the category, then I can say that my revenue can be measured, right? My revenue is depending on the quantity and the quantity price. And if I say that my revenue, if I can get my revenue with respect to the product, right? So which product is more popular? Then I can go for region, which region, and the salesperson is again important for me, because how much salesperson's efforts which has been gone for the sales or the revenue, that is very, very important for me. Then there is a order date, right? So order date may I can have the month, I can extract the month, I can extract the different things from this date because that is the order date which is there. So what will be the first step which I have there? Based on the KPIs, I have to identify certain category and certain measures. So my measures, when you are also doing your research and you are doing the collection of the data, so a collection of data, like you are making a questionnaire, then you have to be very careful about your KPIs. Your KPIs will be the categories which are based on the factors which are affecting, right? So that are based on the factors where you are collecting the data. It can be with respect to some categories. The categories can be the region wise if you are comparing the region. It can be the gender wise if you're comparing the gender. It can be the age wise if you're comparing the age. So that is again your choice. But it has to be there in that data set so that it won't stops you when you are doing your actual analysis. So when you have identified your, like according to this data, I find that there can be a certain important categories, and that important categories can be my region, it can be my product, it can be my salesperson. And again, I will be taking care of my data as well, where I will be taking month-wise or something, month-wise or year-wise or quarter-wise data. So what I can do based on the certain indicators which I have identified, I can create or I can look forward for some broader objectives, which is going to help me to drill down my data in terms of region-wise revenue, in terms of sales performance, in terms of month-wise revenue, in terms of product sales, top 10 product sales in terms of customer spend, usually for purchases, right? So this is what the certain identity which I have identified based on my KPIs, and I have to start working on my dashboard. So this I can this is like important slides. So this is what we will be doing. We will be creating different sheets in using the pivot table, and we will be taking care of region, salesperson, month-wise revenue, and all these indicators which are important for my dashboard. So I just take a screenshot of it, and then we can move to the Excel sheet. So I stop share. I share the Excel sheet with you. Right. So I hope you have received the data set.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. You can open that data set. I will also be opening here at the same data set. Right. So are you able to see the screen or see the data set?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have, I hope you all have opened the data set in your laptops.
Yes, ma'am, almost.
Yes, okay. Chalo, Sadhvi says yes. Fine. So what all we have identified? We have identified the KPIs as, so what I can do is to make it little simple, I can highlight those, say those are the important columns which we have just noticed and discussed. So I have three columns which are important for like the product name, and I can also go for the revenue because most of my objectives are going around my revenue, and one for quantity as well, right? So now what I can do is I can just prepare a sheet where I can say that my objectives are, and I have already copied my sheet, that is this one. Right, so I know that what all I have to do is I have to just go for these objectives, and I have to look for how to solve these objectives and how to take forward these objectives, right? So I can use different sheets. The first, my task is based on region wise revenue. So what I can do is I can go to my data set and try to create a pivot table. That's what we have done last time. So I select the data. The data is around 270. I have selected the data, and I go to the insert, because pivot table, when you go for a new sheet, it creates its own sheet, right? So that's why I have not created a sheet, but what I want this to be created, and I will be using, I will be defining the name afterwards. So I go for a new sheet, new worksheet. I say the first, according to the first objective, region wise sales, right? So I have a region. I go for for rows as region, and I go for a revenue as values. Right. Now here you can see that by default, there is a sum of revenue which comes. If you want to go for an average wise revenue, then you can have it because it is not defined. So you can either have the sum or you can have the average. So if I go for the average, then there you can see the average value. If you go for a sum, then you can get a sum value. So let's check whether it has defined something. It has not say anything in this thing. I say that region wise revenue, right? So it is only defining as the region wise revenue. So I can, based on my understanding, I can create a bar chart, because the bar chart is something which I can see that there are different bars, and I can easily find that the south is little less giving the sales in terms of this thing, in terms of region, and else other region like east, north, west is okay with this. So are you okay with this sheet, or with this chart, or you can beautify this chart also? You can have a proper title. Proper title you can have, then you can give the proper title, and if you click here, you can have different chart style also. Right, you can have you want to change something for black, in the black background, then you can do that. If you want some different styles, so that is also available, right? So it can be different chart styles which is there. There are 3D options also available. So which I found is more appropriate. Let's use some black one. Then I can make it as the region wise sales, right? Region wise sales. So I have given this as a region wise sales. I can also define there are 2-3 things that can be seen. if you can see with the number of the south, north and east, there is a difference of only 200. But if you can see the chart there, right? So there is it is showing the vast difference, because why it has happened? Any idea why, how it has happened?
Because of the unit which we have taken in the axis there.
Because of the scale, right? It has
Yeah.
started 1000 from 1000. So can we change it? You can have, I think you can have right click, and then there must be some format access. Right, so minimum you can change it to, if I want it to be changed it to 0, and if I can have, I can see that whether it is going to be changed or not, right? So now it is little bit more reasonable to me, because now it has something related to the comparison, right? So it is again depending upon your call, whether you want to you want a differentiation to be visible. Like that, you can start it with 1000, so that there is more differentiable which is there. But if you can see that there is a comparable difference between so there is a slight less revenue as compared to the other 3 regions, but there is not drastic change. So if you go for the region wise, so south is doing the less revenue as compared to west, then there is a north, and then there is a east. So east is the west in terms of revenue, which is there, the region. Right, so this is how you can change the sheet and make it as more visible. And let's go to the next objective. So if even you want to make it as a, because this is for the more than 2 decimal, right? So you can format it, you can make it as up to 2 decimal. So I think there must be something related to format. And then you can have the format cell, you can make it as number, you can have the 2 decimal places and say, okay, right. So same can be copied to other as well, so that you can have the comparable in terms of only with the 2 decimal, because when it is showing the all the decimals, so it is showing the 4-5 decimals, it is little cumbersome, but now it is much more comfortable in terms of this. Okay, okay, so the north is followed by, okay, so it is not visible in the graph, yes. So it is in, right, so you can also have it is 1210 and it is 1230. Okay, right, so in this way you can have it. If you want to be displayed as we can change the pattern of it, where you want the values to be displayed, right? So I want the value to be displayed, and I can see that there must be some chart where I can get values to be displayed. That can be one way where I can change my chart, or I think there is some chart options where you have the values displayed, and that can be worked out. Right, so this is how you can play around with making it more attractive, and you want it to be more attractive in terms of the graphs and all, right? So this is the first step where you can see, where you can check all the scales, everything. And I think that was previous one was the better one, so I can have that only. So you can have you can look for according to your requirement, according to your choice, because this is your graph. You can play around with the data, play around with your charts, which is the best suited. And in the later half of the session, we will be going through the different types of more charts also, which is available in Excel. So now I can change my sheet to as region wise sales, right? Region wise sales. Now I have completed my first objective. Now going to my second objective, which is the sales performance, salesman's performance. So I have the data with the salesman where if you can put the filter, you can see that how many filter data, or if I go for a data, I can because then yesterday we want you to use the filter, so that you can see that how how much record are there, right? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 salesperson, and I can easily compare this 8 salesperson, how their performance is, and how they are working, and how they are performing in terms of revenue. Right, so their sales performance is again based on the revenue which they have supported for the same. So I will be again making my dashboard, and I will be using the salesperson for the same. So I select the data, the same steps will go. I will go for the insert, then pivot table, the same data set, the new worksheet. I will create a new worksheet. That can be the lengthy way, where because I want you to learn. So that is the lengthy. I will be showing you the shortcut also. So this is the salesperson, and then I will go with the revenue, right? Revenue as a salesperson. So I go for a sum of revenue, because here the sum of revenue is important, where I can see that what is the total sales which is there as compared to the different. So I have all the 8 this thing. I can have a chart which can be a column, or I go for a recommended chart, right? And you can select the recommended chart, then you can have the bar, or maybe the column chart. Both will work. So I will go for a column chart. And similarly, as the column chart is there, this total, because it does not have any relevance, because there are no 2 legends are there. So I can remove that. Then I can have a proper heading as the salesperson. Salesperson performance. Okay. And these are all the salespersons who has contributed to that. There are only 8. So I can have it like this. So you can see that the salesperson Nancy has contributed more as compared to Annie, and then followed by Ray. So I can change the color if you want. You can have some similar color as we have used in the previous, and then it can be saved. So now I have come up with my 2 objectives, and this is the salesperson wise. Salesperson performance. So I hope you are able to create the pivot table, right? There is no problem in creating the pivot table. If you are okay, then I will be telling you the some tricks where you can automate these steps in creation of the pivot table. I think you are all comfortable in creation of the pivot table.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now if I go for the simple steps, so what I can do is I already have the sales performance, so I can make it as a move or copy, right? So I can create a copy as right, for the salesperson, which I have already done. I have copied the sheet, right? So what is my third objective? My third objective is month-wise sales, right? So I have to go for month-wise sales in my third. So I've already had a pivot table, right? I have already done a pivot table. I had copied and make it a duplicate. And for the same, I will be not using the salesperson. I will be using the order date, right? So I have taken the order date and the sum of revenue. And it has given me the sum of revenue. I want to change my chart. So I can go to the design, and I can go for a chart type. I change, either you can delete it and create your own chart type, right? That can be one option, or the another option is you can change the chart type if you want to change. So I have changed the chart type as the sales performance. For the sales performance, I want to change it as the month-wise sales, MONTH month-wise sales, right? So this has become a shortcut because I have just copied and pasted, everything is done. I simply have to, as you can see that when you have put it as a, because Excel automatically has identified that these are the dates, and based on the dates, what it has done is it has created the months for you. Right, sometimes you, because this time we want the month to be used, but say if you do not want month to be used, then you can right click it, you can ungroup. When you ungroup it, you will be getting different dates, but when we group it, you can see that these are the different options which is there. So if your data is there, then there are many things that can be done. With your data, you can have hours wise data, you have a quarter wise, you have year wise, right? Even if you have a data, which if you have downloaded the data from Kaggle or something, you can have a quarter, year, even if you want to see that the sales is in the morning or in the evening, which hour I will be getting a maximum sales, or if you want to check for the deliveries which has happened in throughout the year. So you can use the hours, you can write hours means it will be 12 hours or 13 hours, maybe at 12 o'clock in the noon, or it can be 1 o'clock in the like afternoon time. So in this way, from the date itself, it will be try to identify, try to clear. As per its understanding, what it has done is it has identified that the month is more convenient. But if you want to change it to the quarter as well, right? So if you want to change it as a quarter and you want to keep all the three together, then you can do like this, right? So it has already had with the quarter, you can see that there is a quarter, and then under the quarter you have all the months and all the dates which are there, and right, accordingly it has been changed. It has become little cumbersome in that particular case. So if you want to gather it, or if you want to remove, like say if I say group, and I don't want the days to be there, right? I want only the month, and because when I using the date, it has become it is not appropriate if I compare it with my chart. So if I say only the quarter and month I want to see, so I can have only the quarter and month. And you can see that there are the quarter one, quarter two, and right. So it has been January, February, March is quarter one, and similarly it has been defined till December. And if you want to remove the quarter also, then you can say ungroup, and then you can remove the quarter as well, and then you can have the month wise. So if you have a date of a particular data, then you can extract many more things with that data. You can have a year separately, you don't have to do anything, but it is in the format, and that format is going to help you in segregating the data in terms of month, in terms of quarter, and in terms of hours, etc. So I have made a very quick this thing related to my third objective, and I can change this to month-wise objectives, month-wise sales. Is it okay? Can we move to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, but I need one recap on how you collected the data from the table and selected the pivot.
I don't get you. Can you repeat?
How the data was selected from the main database, from the table,
Data
and
was
how we moved
selected
to
from
the
the
pivot.
main database.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will just repeat the step. So
Yes.
like you have taken the data, right? This is the data set. You have to select the whole data by selection of the whole column. So what I have done is shift and control with the right arrow and down arrow. So the whole data set is selected. You have to basically select the whole data where your data is stable, right? I have selected the whole data set. Now I can move to the insert and then go for a pivot table. That is something which you can do for making a pivot table. And here
Yes.
you can go for a new worksheet.
Yes. Got it, ma'am.
But
Yes,
so
ma'am.
let's work for the next objective, and let's see what is my next objective is. So if I can go to my next objective, we had done with the region-wise revenue. We had done with sales performance. We had done with month-wise revenue. Now moving to the product sales. Right. So I have already make one pivot, and then let's make it as the product-wise sales. So I already have one document which is there as one field as a product. So product name is there. I can move this product name, and similarly, because of the revenue, it will go for the revenue. I will select the revenue, and then it will go with the revenue. Right. So if you can see that there is like, I want to display only the top 10 revenue, right? So in pivot, there is an option where you can have the top 10 revenue, where I can have the filter. So what I can do is I can click on the filter. There are value filters, there are label filters. Label filters are something which is related to the containers, but value filters are something which is related to the revenue. So I want to go for the revenue, where you can see that there is less than equal to, you can have a number of condition, and there is top 10 also. So I can click on top 10. You can change it to, if you want a top 15 or if you want a top 5, you can change it here from here itself. And you can see that there is a top sum of revenue, where I am going for a filtering this particular option. So I can go for OK, and you can see that my box has changed from the top 10 revenue, because it is cumbersome data of too many of the products. I'm not interested in too many products, but I want to focus on only some 10-15 products which I am interested in. Right. Similarly, I can go for the insert, I can go for the chart, and I can create the graph out of it. So this has been created. Now I can change my graph to this. I can change the name, and then I can have a product price sales, right? So now I have created my 4 objectives. Now the last objectives. Similarly, you can have a number of objectives that can be created and that can be used.
Ma'am, do we also have an option of selecting suppose if I wish to know that which are the products which are doing very low, the lowest 10 or something like that?
Yeah. I think that must be there because I am not able to see the other options. Let's see. So there is a value filter. You can go to the value filter. I think there must be something related to this is above average. I think there are many more options which is there, because of the screen it is not showing you. But if you go for a value filter, then I think in the later half there must be, it is not showing, but I think there must be something that has to be checked upon. Maybe you can Google if it is not available. Because in the other options like Tableau and other, it is say above average, below average, that option is there. But for the filter, it is, or maybe it is not appearing here, but there are some other ways where you can get, and where you can, there must be some customized sort or something where you can have these options available.
Okay.
So that we have to check, right? So if you have already have this sheet, now what I want it to be in the increasing order, because if I can see that the coffee which is going to be giving me more revenue, then that has to be sort accordingly. So what I can do, I can go for this, I can go for a sort. more sort option, then I can have an increasing order according to my revenue, right? So I can have an increasing order according to my revenue. So maybe descending order, so that I can see the first, which is there as like first is has to be the coffee, then I can have the other options. So in this way, you can see that where to focus more on the coffee and then the curry sauce and etc. Right. So this is how I have created my four objectives. Now moving to the 5 objectives, then we can 4-5 sheets when we are having a visualization sheets, visualization chart, then we can move to the creation of the dashboard. Now, the next objective is something which is related to the customer spend usually for purchases. It is also very, very important when the customer comes to your shop and you want to find out like for the purchases, like what is the total purchase which has happened, how many number of purchases that has happened with that particular customer. So there is a column where there is a quantity which is there. So let's a number of quantities. Based on the number of quantities, you can have the purchases for the customers. So I can make it as a little short. So I can just copy and paste, or you can either do the copy and paste, or you can have a move or make a copy, create a copy. Created a copy, and then you can click here, then you have the table as a show list, and then you can make it as a quantity. Here you can also have the sum or difference. So I just want a count. So I can club it in and try to club it with the group option and try to find out it has started with 10 and it has started with 10 and it has taken you to 100. Right. Right. So now I can see that from this sheet is if the most of the people, most of the persons who are coming with in the shop is doing the purchases between 0 to 1,000. Right. So it is very easy for the company to. Can you please repeat that? Okay, I will repeat it. So it is very easy for the company to fix up the offers for, like say, when you do the top 100 purchases, or when you do the purchases of 1,000 rupees, then what particular offer we are going to do, right? So you can maybe if the more of the people are touching this, so you can have 1,500 or something. So when you have an offer on 1,500, so the people who are spending 1,000 rupees can move to the 1,500 easily. So this is how you can make your bars so that you can have the more number of sales or more sales in terms of revenue, and you can increase your revenue. Right. If you are not comfortable with 1,000, so we can also bifurcate it with it later, like say if this is something which is not giving us any picture, because 0 to 1,000 is quite a huge amount. So I can make it as maybe 700 or 600 something, or I can make it as 500. And let's see if there is something more has been, right? So most of the people has purchases for 500. So I can have, and if you compare that, more people have the below 500, and then there are some people, right? So it can be a comparable amount when you say, and the above 5,000, if you can see above 4,500, there are few, like only 4 people who has a purchases, right? So your target audience is something which can be found in somewhere here. Right, somewhere around 1,500 to this. So this can be extended to 1,500 or 2,000, so that you can increase your sales. So because these people are visiting to the shop, and they are doing the purchases of less than 1,000, but that can be improved to 2,000 or 1,500 by giving some offers on 2,000, maybe 2,000. If they can spend 2,000, they will be getting some worth 500 free or something, so that they can increase their sales. So this is how you can change. And if I make it as the purchases, or whatever the objective is, I can give the exact objective name, and I can specifically define it as customer spend, usually the customer spend, right? So, okay. So you just finish it. I will be back in 2 minutes. So you can finish your all the charts, and then we can start working on the dashboard. So all you have created the different charts. Can we move to the dashboard now? Yes.
Doing, ma'am.
Yes, Tanima.
I'm working on charts.
Okay, I will. And what about others? Okay, okay. Customer spend. Whatever you feel comfortable, it is all your charts. So if you are okay with any of the chart, you can create those chart and use it for your dashboard. Should we wait for a few more minutes? Maybe 5 minutes more?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it is 3, I will come again at 3:05. So just completed all your charts, because then that will be easy for you to create a dashboard.
Okay.
Or maybe you can take 10 minutes, 3:10 I will come back for the same. So are we through with all our charts? Yes, ma'am, done. Okay, Sarvesh has done. Okay, so based on the objectives, that's why I just repeat, based on the objectives which we have which we have seen from the data, we have created the different charts, and the charts are based on region-wise revenue, salesman's performance, month-wise revenue, 10 product sales, and the customer spent usually for purchases. Right. So now we can easily start making our dashboard. So what all you have to do is you have to copy all your charts into one sheet, and we make it that sheet as a dashboard. So what I can do, I can Control C, copy, create a new sheet as I will be renaming as dashboard, and just paste it. So Control C, Control V, right? First chart done. Now I can have my second chart as customer purchases.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Okay. It's not audible. It's okay now.
It's audible to us, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So what is the steps that you have to follow? You have to go to the chart, copy, select the chart, not the data, select the chart, Control C, then go to the go to a new sheet, and you have to paste that sheet, right? Paste that this thing. So Control C, Control V. So Control C, Control V for first customer purchases has done. Now I can move to the second, that is month-wise sales. Control C, Control V. Right now, the third is the region-wise sales. Control C, and going to the same dashboard, Control V. You have to select the location and then do the Control V. Right now. So I have copied 3. Now the sales performance, Control C, Control V. Right now the next chart is the product sales. Okay, this is product wise sales. I think I have not renamed as. Okay, this is customer. The first one has to be renamed as customer spend. All right, so what the first step is, you have copied all the charts in the dashboard and make this sheet as dashboard. Right. Now the next step is you have to add the slicer and the, okay, done now. Okay. Now you have to, what you have to do is you have to add the slicer. The slicer, you will find the slicer inside the pivot. So once you click on the chart, you will find that there is a pivot, there is a pivot chart analyze button, right? So you have to insert the slicer. the slicer which you will be using as we have taken the data from region, we have taken the data from salesperson, and we have taken the data from product, right? So whatever be the three main category which we have identified, three key columns which we have identified, like as a product name, region, and sales, right? So these are the three columns which I have taken as a slicer. So add insert slicer, press OK. Right? So I got the three slicer, which is one is talking about the region, another one is talking about this thing, another one is talking about the salesperson, and the third one is talking about the product, right? So I think this is all you have done. You have copied all the charts. That is number one. Second is you have added all the three slicer. Is it done? You may respond on the chat box so that I can move further. Or if you want to wait for a few seconds, I can wait so that you can copy it. Or if you want me to proceed further, I can do that as well. Done? Okay. So Kaveri says done. Okay. Can I get 1, 2, 3 more responses?
Done, ma'am.
Done. Okay.
Yes,
Chalo,
ma'am.
let's move further. So you have already added the slicer. Now what all you have to do is you have to link this slicer to all the pivot tables, right? So what I can do is I can right click it, right? You can right click the slicer and you can have the report connection. So what I am doing this by this step is I want, when I change my product name, I want all the respective sheets to be changed. So when I click on the report connection, there is by default, there is only one which is being ticked. So what I want all to be checked. So once, if you do not want any one of the pivot to be changed accordingly, or you want any one of the pivot to be static, you cannot take it as compared when you want to, a particular when you want a particular selection to be changed. Right. So if you want certain things which can be a month-wise sales or something which you do not want to be changed according to the product, then that can be that can be as it is. Okay. So Rinky want to split. Yeah. So Rinky, what we are doing is we want all the slicer to be mapped with all the pivot. Why we are doing that? Because when I select on almond, I can see that what is my sales, month-wise sales of almond, what is region-wise sales of almond, what is product almond. By default, there is only one. So if it is there, it will be showing, else it will be not showing because I have taken only the first 10 products. And if you have the sales performance, then who is dealing with the almond and also the time customer spent, right? So what I basically want is I want it has to be changed according to when I change the product. So how to do that is right click. How to do that? I can select it, then I can go for a right click, then there is a report connection. Click on the report connection and just take for all. You have to do it individually. There is no option as select all, right? So same way I have to go for region, right click, and then report connection. For this report connection, I have to select all. Right. Now I have said okay. Right. Now your dashboard is ready with all the dynamic things where I can see, where I can find out. If I click on East, so you can see that if I click on East, so it is showing me the East sales. it is showing me the product wise how East region is performing. What is the month wise sales for East? What is the spend of the East based on the customers? So there are customers spent also, and also there are two salesperson who are dealing with the East region, and that is Laura and Andrew. Similarly, if I want for East as well as South, right? So if I select, if I have a control and press any one of the region, right? So I have these two region with me. If I want to do the comparison between the East and South, I can easily do. If select on East and South, I can see that the East and South, how they are comparable. Then the month-wise sales with together with East and South. Then you can have the product-wise sales for both the region, East and South. And similarly, there is one more, like Anna has joined with respect to the South region. And this is the month-wise sales, right? So this is how you can see that the salesperson, when you have selected the East and South, there are the three salesperson which is responding. And the products which are there is, these are the products which are into the category. So there are elements, there are other things which are into the category of this thing. Similarly, when you want to see that who are only performing for the East, or who are the people who are only, or say if I say only the South, so South may only the Annie Larson who is dealing with South region. And this is the sales of the South region. Sales is doing in terms of December, but there is a downfall in case of September, right? As compared to, so that you can have a detailed analysis of all the products. And if you want to have a comparison between the salesperson, if you want to remove the filter, there is a cross button. You can have the remove filter as well. There is a multi-select also. When you click on the multi-select, you can simply, you don't have to click on the control button, and simply you can click and you can select and deselect. So out of the three region, you can see that these are all the options which is available. Who are the salesperson, how they are performing is, you can see the comparison between the two. And if you want to remove the, or you want to see the performance of Jan, then you can see, because he is the lowest performer. So if you can see the performance of Jan, then this is, he's dealing with the West region, and this is the overall sales of Jan, and he has the customer spent, which is there are 6 customers who have spent 1,000, between 1,000 and 1,500. So that's what he has been targeted in his this thing, right? And these are the different things that can be seen. And the product which is dealing with Jan is the beer cocktail and fruit cocktail. So these are the different analysis which can be a part of your this thing. If you can see that, because I have I will be telling to the students, and based on their course curriculum, I want them to create a dashboard, and you can, and they can present it to the company as well. So based on like, say if they are doing the summer internship, they can take the company data, they can create a dashboard, and then they can start working on the dashboard, and they can discuss with the dashboard with their team head, and so that there can be a number of things that can be seems to be highlighted. In the similar way, when you are doing your research and you had collected the data, once you had collected the data, you can create a dashboard with when you have identified your key objectives, when you have identified your key columns, and these columns can be considered, and you can go in depth of it while defining and while seeing that how you can start working on that, and how you can start writing your exploratory analysis. So this dashboard is nearly, this is something which is considered to be a ready-made dashboard, because it is all using the pivot, but you can create your own dashboard also. with respect to doing the little bit of coding, little bit of functions which are there in the Excel. You can apply the functions of Excel, and you can have the little bit of coding where you can create some dynamic dashboards. So this is considered to be a dynamic because if there is some change in the sheet, you have to simply right click and refresh your, because the pivot table can be can reflect by using a right click and refresh. So if there is any change in the main sheet or in the data sheet, if it is right click and if you click on the refresh button, if there is a refresh button, if it is clicked on the refresh button, then all your charts can be refreshed. I think there is no refresh in the case, so it might be here.
It was there at the top earlier, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Refresh. There in that sheet also it was there, ma'am.
Yeah. So the main sheet has to be changed so that it can be changed. You can see the changes in the dashboard. Right, so if you want to see the region wise, or if you want to see the product wise, you can have a multiple select. You can remove the filter. You can, right, if the filter is selected, you can remove the filter. You want to see how the almond and beers are working. So I can select the two. I can select one. So almond, according to the almond, it is being sold to all the regions. It has been there. I think there is no almond, so it remains the same. If there is no almond, then that is based on the other criteria, that is the criteria for the region and salesperson. And the almond is somewhat which is related to, okay, only you have, why it is changing only once. Okay, I just check whether report connection. Okay. So if I go for a particular products like almond, right? So almond and beer, so I can similarly have the setting the description about my data. So this is how you can There was a network issue at my end, so that's why it was disconnected. So I think you are able to create the dashboard. We had worked, I had covered, and I think you have listened about the how to create a dashboard, and we had completed the dashboard, right? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that is clear. Can we move to the next? Okay. What to repeat, Sadbir? Should I repeat the dashboard, or we have done with the dashboard? Just what you spoke. Okay. So I have just spoken that we had completed the while making the dashboard, and I think we can move to the next topic, next agenda for today. Yes. Okay. There was some connection issue at my okay for slicer. Okay. Yes. So while we are creating the dashboard, so there is an important thing, like one is adding of chart, one is preparation of chart, then adding a chart. And once you have added the chart in your dashboard, the next step is you have to add the slicer. Slicer are basically the containers which we have identified at the starting. If you can remember that, what are the important slicer, what are the important categories that you are looking for your KPIs. So that time we have identified that there is a product name, there is a salesperson and region, which are something which are the important category for your data set. So how to do the, now once you have added all the charts, now it has to be have the connection with the slicer. So when you select the slicer, right click the slicer, and there is an option of called as the report connection. When you click on report connection, you find that there are many pivot tables which you can see. So that is one pivot table is for say customer purchase, second is for sales, right? You have to tick all. So because when you add the slicer, you have to select any one of the pivot table, because then only you can go to the slicer, right? So I have selected the month wise. So that's why I found that all the slicer are having a selected month wise. But what I want a change in the product so that I can get the change in all the other charts as well. So what all I have to do is I have to go to the connection, report connection, and select all the charts and press OK. Similarly, I have to do for all the slicers. So I have to do for the second slicer also and for the third slicer also. So right click, then go to the report connection, take all and OK. It has to be done manually because there is no option called select all. So when I go to the report connection third, I can do the select all and I can say okay. Right? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
No. Take care. So shall we move to the next part?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So once you are done with the slicer, so I just stop this and you can save the dashboard file with you. And we can, I am just sharing another sheet with you where we can see, because here there are some limited charts which we have seen that the charts are properly probably based on the line chart, based on the right. So there are specific purposeful charts which we have created. So there are many more charts in the latest version of Excel, which is there, as there are different tools which has already, like you have a Tableau, you have a Power BI, right? So there are many more visualization tool which is also there. So for the sake of, maybe because of that, the Excel has also added many more charts. So let's have a quick view. So because there are many more charts which are available, so I think we can also see what are all the charts that can be built. So I have sent you a file, and I quickly go to the presentation so that we can next we can move to the different type of charts which are available. Right. So there are some new charts which are also there, like there is a bubble chart, radar chart, then there is a heat map, then tree map is there, then there is a box plot, and the creation of dashboard we have already done. So when you see that, when you yes, I have searched in Google and find out to have the how the different charts have the philosophy behind that. So once you are finding out the relationship between one variable to the another, so there can be a different perspective, and that can be visualized in different types of charts. The one can be the relationship. It can be a relationship where you can have the different types of chart. That can be a scatter plot. There can be a bubble. If there are 3 variables, if there are 2 variables, then you can have a scatter plot, which is there. Then there is a distribution where you want to show the distribution, as we have used the column chart, then we have used the row chart, which is there. Then there can be a scatter plot also, which is, and there is an area chart also, where you can have a histogram is also there, scatter plot. This shows the distribution over the scale. There is one hybrid chart also I have seen, that which shows a block of the bar chart as well as with a line, right? So this kind of chart is also available. Then there you can have a composition also. Composition can be, again, there are different charts which are there, where you can have a column chart, where you can have a, what is the composition of my area in terms of pie chart, in terms of waterfall chart, in terms of heat maps, track chart, area chart, right? So these are all the options which are there. Similarly, when you do the comparison between the multi items or over the time, there are different charts which are there, and these charts are the spider chart, they are bar charts, they are area chart, and etc., which are available. So there must be overlapping between the two, because when you are having a composition, normally we go for a pie chart, heat map, and heat map kind of thing. There is a tree map also, which is one of the important chart which is there for the composition. So let's see how all the charts which are there and how it can be. So this is the scatter plot, where you have the 2 values or 2 numeric values, which is like you have a number of products and the sales. So you can beautifully draw with the 2 numeric values. You can have a scatter plot. If any one of the value is not there, then by default it will take it as 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if the number of products are not mentioned, then it will by default take, for the sales, it will take 1, 2, 3, 4 based on the number of items. This is the bubble plot which is there. It is showing you, if you can see that, if you want to show, this chart you can use for some of your research paper, where you can have, where you can focus on, like say in this, it is showing the percentage of the market share, where the number of products and the sales. So again, I have taken the dummy data just for the representation. It represents the 3 dimension. Like if you can see that the 33% means 20 and 1600, which 42%, which is the highest one. So it has a combination of when the number of product is 22 and the sales is 32,000, right? So if you can have a combination where you have So if you can see the combination where you have where we have the this one. So if you see that when you created a chart, you can, when you go to the cursor over here, then you can see that it will actually showing you the 42% with all the parameters as 22 and 32,000. Similarly, this is the second bubble, which is of the 32 size, which has again a combination of 20 and 60,000. So in the similar way, you can create a chart if it is for the 3-dimension, and that is called as the bubble plot. There is a composition chart, which is called as the stacked chart. If you can, I have used that kind of chart in one of my initial paper, where I have give the scaling from 1 to 5 with the different parameters of my study. So supposingly, if you have taken the customer satisfaction with the different parameters, like say it can be a visual view, it can be etc. So then all these parameters can be compared in terms of where you can have a very descriptive view that the overall scale or overall rank for a particular factor. I think, for a particular factor, I can see that is for the particular factor, how it is growing. So if you can see, if you can compare that, the PAPE is doing an extensive work overall, if you can compare for the 3 years, that is 2000, maybe 17, 18 and 19. And as compared to 2017, that has done, because the yellow color is, the blue color is 2017. So they have done extensive work in 2017, but as when you compare to for the 2019, so who is doing like Whitecraft is doing like impressive work in 2019, means the latest like latest sales or latest year sales, if you want to compare. So this is how you can have a comparison within your data based on the ranking, based on the, if you have the scale from 1 to 5, you can sum it up, you can have the average for the related components, then you can plot the graph, then you can have a comparison between, and then you can see that how one comparable parameters with the other, one factor is going to be comparable with the others, right? So this is how you can create your theory, and you can develop, and you can give the overall picture about the all the factors, and then you can start working on it. Then there is another chart that is called as the area chart. The area chart is again a composition which is showing you the different charts. Here, if you can see that the orange portion, you can see only in the Adidas, you are able to visualize the orange portion, because that is for 2018. 2018, the rest for the all the 2018 is something which where all the brands has not performed well. So that's why it is being hidden between the two, the 2017 and 19. But only in the Adidas, you can see that there is a small color, which is for the Adidas, because if you compare the Adidas is something where you have the 212, which is little slightly up as compared to others. And the rest for all the brands, they are in 2018 is the tough time for all the brands. For the pie chart, you can have the pie chart. What is the importance of the pie chart? What is the beauty about the pie chart is you don't have to calculate the percentage, but it will automatically calculate the percentage for you. So if you have the male, female, and this way, and if you go for a pie chart, it will automatically create a composition for you, where you have 45%, 52%, and 7%, and so on, right? So this is how the pie chart creates. Pie chart is again, if you have too many of categories, don't go for pie chart, right? If you have, like, say, supposingly, if you have 1, 2, like 2, 3 categories, it will be fine. You can see, you can find out the comparison easily, like in case of yes and no. In case of something, you can have the pie chart. like in case of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 categories in which you can have a comparison, and it will be cumbersome to identify like the composition of individual composition, because for this particular case, you can go for a bar chart that will be more suited. For something where you have a negative value also, and you have to find out the overall profit, then you can see that it is showing you the trend of the waterfall is showing you the trend where you have 34, and then the profit increases from 34 plus 54, right? It comes out to be somewhere around 86 or something, then plus 11, right? So and so on, and when it is minus 50, so right, so there is a gray color line which seems to be something where comes out to be the result, and the colors differentiate between the increase and the decrease in profit. So there is a chart called as the waterfall chart, which is there in Excel, where you can create. There yesterday we have seen that you can create a pivot, and the pivot is really helpful for you. If you have certain categories with one into the another, then that can be used, where you can have a pie chart, where you can have a pivot table into existence. There is another chart. This is again one of my chart where I have compared the different parameters among, like say, if you are looking for some brands, and there are fixed number of characteristics which has to be considered, like say there are price, appearance, and mileages, which has been sent for all the 5 or the 6 brands. So based on, so this is again demo data where I have put some value so that this can be distinguished. So it seems to be that Desire is something which has all appearance, price, and mileage is as per the customer satisfaction, and the other will go with, you can go with the other, like say the more this thing which is Alto, where you can see that there is a diverse this thing related to the price, related to, right? So it is again a superficial data, which is not something which is, but if you have certain categories, if you have certain like 5 characteristics which has to be tested among the customers or among a particular product, then this chart can be used and can be fitted into where you can have a detailed comparison and discuss about all everything into it. Then comparison in the bar chart, that is bar chart is something which where you can have a year wise. So if you want to create a year wise chart, then you can see that in this particular chart you have 2016. There are 3 data sets, January, February, March, then 2017 again 3, and right. So in this particular you have in even the bar and the column chart, you can have a relatively for the 3, and if you can change the sequence of the year and the month, then you can get the change for, like say January, you get all the 3 years, like for 2006. So it is just a flow of data, how it is being done. If you want to have it from January all the 3 years, then it can be done in that way also. So over the time, there is a line chart. If you want to see, like we have from January to December, what is the trend of line that is there. So also the column chart can also be used for the overtime, because the column chart also shows the certain columns, and that can be easily seen. It can be easily comparable. Again, we have discussed about the left margin, which is the scale in one of our chart where you can see that it is not comparable values, but because of the scale, it is showing you the comparable values. So it is again depending upon, like say when you start with the 0, it is uncomparable values. So the values are uncomparable. There is only difference of 200, but if you change the scale, it is showing you the difference of much more difference. So it is, if you want to highlight that, it is again totally up to you what you want to project. These are the sales for the area chart. Then you have the age versus salary. age versus salary, then if you want to go for it. So there are different tools which are there, but we are more focusing on the charts only. So that's what. Then there is there is a scatter plot, 2 variables that is there, where the scatter plot is done with the age, and so there is another chart which is called as the heat map. Here the heat map, not as a chart which is available, but we will be using the color which is there for the customized filter, right? So for the what we call it as a filter, right? Just forgetting the name. Okay. So it is so it is a conditional formatting, right? So conditional formatting, you have different colors, and based on these colors, you can define and you can see the different colors with the different maps. So we will see. I will be sharing with you the slide, and we will see how this charts can be made. Right, so based on the different bands, you can select the yellow or green or red. So different bands which are available. Based on that, you can you can do put the different marks. Then this is the tree map which is there. If you can see this chart, how to interpret this data. So there are fixed companies which are there from 1 to 10 in the region of Delhi, then Haryana, Uttar Pradesh. And if you can compare, if you can see that it will start from the left and go towards the right, right? So if you can see the composition of the blocks, so Haryana is, if you can put it as 100%, so Haryana has taken a maximum area for the same. Then there is a Delhi, and then there is Uttar Pradesh. The state-wise sales, if you can compare, so Uttar Pradesh is having the minimum sales as compared to Delhi, and then Haryana. Similarly, if you can compare the company-wise, so if you go for a left corner company 1, left corner is which is having the highest sales. And when you go to the right hand side and the down towards down, that is having a minimum sales. So this is how you can create a different composition, and you can discuss about the different compositions of in terms of the tree maps. And next is the box plot, which we have discussed. When we have to identify it, we have to find out the outliers. So here also, if you can observe that there is a cross in between, there is a line in between. These are the 2 points which are the minimum and maximum, right? So the below line is the minimum value, the above line is the maximum value, and this box is something which is showing the total, how the total, all the values are distributed into it, which has a average value, which has a median into it, right? And the top line is something which is called as the quarter, for quarter 3, and the lower line is the quarter 1. Right, so this is how you, if you see that, how you can read the box plot. So box plot is, you have a M as median, which is a line which is showing median is a middle value, then quartile 1 and quartile 3, then 1.5 into the quartile line for the dots are the outliers. So if there is an outlier, then there is this, and the cross sign is the mean value of that particular box plot. So I have already shared the Excel sheet with you. We quickly go to the Excel sheet and try to play around with the creation of some more charts, so that you can be more comfortable. I have put the data into it. You can see the data also. Data is already there with that, with the specific chart name. So you can create the charts. you can create the charts and see that how it can be worked. So all of you have received the sheet, right? Chart sheet, you have the chart sheet with you. So creating a chart is very easy. Like if you want to make a scatter chart, you can select the data. Okay. Okay, yes. So Gitika is saying, yes, ma'am, we have the. So I have just opened the sheet for you. And as it is written, you have to put the scatter chart. You have to create a scatter chart. Then you have to go to insert. If while going to the insert, you can see that what are all charts are available, right? There is a recommended charts which is there. Then there is, if you can see that these are all the charts which are there. There is a column chart, and inside the column chart, there is the 3D, then there is a bar, there is the 3D bar, right? Similarly, you can see that there is a tree map, right? So if you can see that how all the charts can be made accordingly to the data, but you have to identify that which particular is the appropriate chart. Even in the waterfall, right? For the increasing value and decreasing value, you can create a waterfall, you can create a funnel. You can have a radar chart, which is also there, right? Radar, where we have discussed about the radar chart also. Similarly, there are this I have seen while just going through the different charts. I have just seen that there is a chart called the maps also is available. Earlier, it was not available in this thing, but I have not used it. Otherwise, this is also available where you have the longitude and the latitude value, which we normally do in our Tableau thing, where you have and you get a whole map based on the longitude. I think this is something which is related to where you can create the map. Pivot chart is also there. Then if this is a mix where you have a combo of the line and bar. So if you have certain with respect to, like, say the sales and the profit, then you can have this together. Then there is a chart which is called as the scatter plot, right? So this is which is a scatter plot. If you want a scatter plot with line, then that can be done. If you want a bubble chart to be displayed, then with the 3 value, you can, it is for the bubble, which is more appropriate. Then pie chart, you can have the pie chart with respect to if there is a composition, it can be 3, 4, not more than that. And there are different charts which are available where you can have the 3D version, where you can have the donut version. So this is something which is while seeing that, while defining, as terms of the visualization, that is something which is more attractive when you have this kind of charts. Similarly, there is, I think this is a line chart which is there, line and the area chart which is also there. So these are the different charts. So you just have to select the data when you go to a particular chart. So if I go to a particular charts, you can map it. You can, as you already know, because we have done with too many of charts. So I can just take you to the new charts, because I think these are all the which you have already done. So this is the new chart which is there, where you can create a bubble chart. So you can, same way, you can select the data, then you can go for insert and go for. So bubble chart is there in, I think in one of the option where you have this option, right? So this is the bubble chart, which is showing you the combination of the 2 and getting the 3 with respect to the bubble. Right. So if you go to the radar chart is again the same data which I have taken. Then you can go to insert, you can go to the radar option, which is there in the line itself. No, not line. It is there in this one. So you can have a So this is with respect to this chart. Then okay, there must be some message having there is a good representation, qualitative with question and answer. Yes, options are strongly agreed. Yes, as I already said, Siddhika, there is a for strongly agree. These are all can be represented with respect to numbers from 5 to 1. So you have strongly agree with 5, then agree with 4, neutral is 3, disagree and strongly disagree with 2 and 1. So I have used the same exercise where I have presented my I have written my first paper that is based on the characteristics with this scale. So what I have done is I have just taken out all the averages with respect to this thing and created a small table, and based on the table I have made a stacked chart, a stacked graph, a stacked bar chart. So stacked bar chart, I can easily find out like how many of them got the 5 scale, how many of them got the 4 scale, 3 scale, and so on. So that is a very much identification that which are more concerned or which are considered to be the strongly agree, which is liked by the customer, something like that. So that can be done even with respect to the 5 scale Likert scale. Now you can have a comparison with the strongly agree with respect to all the data, and I will just show you it. Like after completing this, I will just show you how you can go for it. Then there is a heat map. Heat map is again, so the heat map is when you select the data, you can go to the data, then there is a formatting, conditional formatting. So I can go to the conditional formatting. And you can see that there are the colors highlight, right? So I can go for yellow to red, or if I want to go for some different scales. Right, so this is what you can do. For the more values, you have the blue color, and for the less values, you have the red color. So you can see that, and for the average, there is a white color which is there. So this is how you can have a comparison where you can create and you can easily identify it, and easily this thing related to certain values or certain things where you can have the more address upon something, if your feedback is wrong, or if your feedback or you want to have a certain concern about a particular thing, then that can be highlighted by using a heat map. Then there is a tree map. Tree map is again, if you can see that I can create a tree map with respect to insert, and if I go to the data tree map, right? So this is what you can compare. So you have, if you can see that the values which is there, so the company 9 is doing better, as I think this is the data which is something different. So that's why it is showing me like this, where you have a company 9 of Delhi is doing better as compared to, and that company 5 of Delhi is having least this thing with respect to the Delhi region. So company 5 is having a less sales as compared to this, and similarly for the Uttar Pradesh, and similarly for the Haryana is right. So this is how, according to the data, you can see that how it is representing. Right. Similarly, you can do this representation also when you see the composition of your factors in terms of something where where you can see that how the compositions can be taken care of, or some traits or something where you have certain this thing, or something like where you can have a total comparison of, and there are certain set of parameters which has studied for the same set of parameters which are studied for 3 different locations, something like that, and then that can be studied as which particular traits is doing better as compared to the different regions. something can be studied. Then box plot is again one of the visualization tool where you can compare the data when you are doing the descriptive analytics, descriptive analysis, where you can see, where you can compare, and where you can identify that right, how what is the total overall dispersion or overall flow of a particular element or a particular this thing. So if I go for an insert and try to create a box plot, right, so if I create a box plot and I can see that how it looks like, right, so remaining, I can go to the all charts, I can go to the box plot. So you can see that how many numbers. So it has taken it as company wise, right? So what I want it to be I want only the three, how my three states are doing. So what I can do is, while considering the state, I can take this purple to only restrict it to state. So if I can do that, right, or what at the time of selection, I can have the selected one region, selected one states and control, and then I can select the values. So even I can have this, then control, then with the control you can do the selection, control shift, okay, control shift. So you have to select only two so that you can only two columns, so that I can get only the data according to that. So if I go for insert, and if I go for a chart, and if I go for all charts and select the recommendation, right? So this is how I broadly I can get the charts for all the three states. If you want a combined chart, then that can be only, you can select the details of the value, only the result of the value, and then you can have the chart. But that doesn't make any sense because there are three different states. So if you go for three different states and try to find out, then that can be more comparable. So you can see that how the spread out things are there, right? So in the spread out is in Uttar Pradesh as compared to this thing is this thing, right? Highest value is there in Uttar Pradesh as compared to Delhi, and this highest value or the maximum value. Lower value in case of Delhi is there as compared to, because it's the minimum value, right? So the overall spread can be calculated and it can be discussed upon. So this is how you can create different charts, and why I have shown you different charts, because that these charts can be a part of your dashboard as well. So if you find a particular chart to be a part of dashboard, you can create, you can add in this, the steps will remain the same. You can do the same steps, you can create a chart, you can copy and paste, and then it can be added into the dashboard. I think there was one question that Siddhika was asking, so I just addressed that and then move into the some basic things. If it can have a, we can have a time, like say if there are certain, like say if you do the questionnaire, you have like say if I have a category A, category B, category C, D, and D, right? So if there are certain 5 categories and you get a sum of, if you can check the sum of 5, strongly agree, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, right? So these are all the degrees which can be, like say how many of average. So if based on the collection, you can take the average, you can take the count of it, right? So if there are 50 out of 30 people, if 15 has given 5, then say 4 has given 1, then 2, and then 2, and then 1, something like that, right? So if I say equal to sum, and if I want to say that, if I want to identify that all the respondents have fill up the form or not, right? So if I say 5, so I say 5 here, right? So in the similar way, if I have the B category data, if there is a B category data, if it is a B category data, then if I can have 0, all the 3, right? If I have a C category data, then I can have 20, maybe 12, and maybe 3, 3, and 5, 5, right? Some differentiation so that you can have a comparable results. So if I have 2 here and 25, then 10, 10, 4, 5, then 5 and 1. Then I can have 12, 4, 5, 6, 3, and 2, right? So these are some different values where I have. So what I have to do is I have to do the create a stack chart out of it. So I think it makes sense, right? What's her name? I think Siddhika.
Hello.
Siddhika, it makes sense.
Ma'am, no, I was asking like which chart can we make out of
Yeah, so like you can code
for the best
as compared
representation
to
of
like
this
5,
data?
4, 3, 2, 1, then you can have a count of it with respect to all the categories that can be summarized, and then you can create, you can have the chart, and probably you can look for the stacked chart. So if I go to the insert, if I go to the stacked chart, recommended, and if I go to the stack chart. Bar. In the bar, there is an option of stack chart.
And ma'am, what about
I think there is something
heat
wrong with
maps?
this chart. Okay, I just have with the parameter 1, parameter no ABCD we have to take. No? Okay, I just go switch the rows and column. I just switch the rows and column. Now you can have a comparison between why it is coming as series, because I have not selected the ABCD. If I selected the ABCD also, then I think that will be the better visualization. Just so instead of this, I can select this as well, and then it is not reflected. So I can go to insert, and then I can go to the chart. Right, so you can see that there are different charts which are available, right? So if you want to go for this chart, and then that can be done. So now you can see that as compared to the different parameters, the A parameter is having the highest as compared to the different, right? So A parameter B1 is having the highest as compared to the A, and then as compared to E, C, and then D, right? So these particular features are liked by the participant, liked by the respondents. All right. So in this way, you can compare, you can have your study according to these colors, which are shown as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sure, ma'am. Just one question. If we use heat maps to represent this type of data, considering that A, B, C, D, E are long sentences that we are trying to represent, what is your opinion on that?
You are not much audible, Dika. Can you write it down in the chat box? Your voice is not very clear.
Yeah, just 1 minute.
Right. So we have yeah, once Siddhika is writing the question, I suppose, then so I have approximately covered most of the charts and most of the visualization thing, where one can think of different options which is available in terms of exploratory analysis. So once you have understood the data, yeah, you have to first understood the data, and once you have understood the data, then you can play around with the data with a certain small creation of the small dashboards. And then considering ABC as a long sentences, it may be recommended to use the heat maps. ABC are the long sentences maps. Yes. You can have ABC. Yeah, you can have, because the long sentences, it will break down. Right. So you can always use the references that as we are also doing like ABC Limited or something, and then you can give the abbreviation also. So you can have item 1 or P1, P2, P3 for the product, something like that, so that it can be used properly in the this thing. So I just want to give you a small tips so that once you have stuck up with some research or something in between, so that it will be going to help you. So I just open the first exercise, the one table, and try to give you certain tips regarding the same. So I just give you another data set, and we start with that particular data set. So this is the data set, which is a very raw data set, for which we have not done any analysis or anything. So this data set you can see, and the tips seems to be like you can see that in this particular home, right in this home, we have a analyze data option. Right, this is again maybe the latest version which is having, if you can check that this analyze data option is there in your Excel. So once you click on this analyze data, you can see that how the Excel himself has tried to help you in doing the data analysis. So do you want to like say what question you want to ask? How many answered as yes and how many answered as no, because it is resolved, query resolved or not resolved? So you can see that not only as a person, as a analyst or as a practitioner, we are going to see this, but Excel is also going to, or a tool is also going to help us. So, and it has given me the dashboard also, like pivot table also. You can see that which particular pivot table you want. You want frequency in speeding, right? So there are different, if it is helpful, you can click on it and you can create a dashboard or create a pivot table with no time. Right, so you can see that how smart it is, how smartly he has done your analysis. You want a agent-wise product, television, toaster, right? Or you want a satisfaction for a agent, yes, no. Or you want a satisfaction with agent, right? You want like majority of answered in 5 seconds with yes, right? So with respect to the seconds also he has calculated. Within a second, how many of them has answered as yes? How many of them has done the satisfied ranking, right? Speed of answering in terms of seconds. So it has converted into in terms of where it has created the graphs, and it is going to help you. So it is not only like you have to identify the certain columns, but if you can see that this is a particularly a raw sheet where the Excel has also identified some of the key columns and trying to help you. Like these are the key columns and these are important for any analysis, and you can even add more also. So if I want to add, say, the date wise.
Ma'am, your screen is not shared.
Yeah.
Ma'am, your screen is not shared.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, so I just start from the beginning. This is the data which is there, right? Now, this is the data which you can see that I have just shared in the sheet. Now it is, now the sheet is there, right? You're able to see the
Yes,
sheet?
ma'am. Now it's
Yes,
visible.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so you can see that there is this is a caller data, which has a caller ID, the date, agent, product. Then there is a answered yes or no, just right. So you can see that these are the different options which are there, right? So what I have just noticed that there is an option called analyze data. Maybe in the latest version, this option is available to use, right? So if it is there in your Excel sheet, you can see that when you click on this analyze data, how Excel is doing work for you. So if you can see that, because earlier we used to say that we have to identify certain key columns, we have to create the objectives, we have to identify the KPIs. But if you can see that when I click here, the Excel has automatically done the analysis for me. So it is too easy for me to identify the key columns. You can see that what it has done, it has taken the product, it has taken the agent product wise, and given the data for satisfaction. Similarly, it has considered the satisfaction rating for agent as resolved, right? Yes or no. Similarly, you can see that there are the yes for the majority of the questions within second has evolved, right? And the specific charts has also prepared. So the analysis has become too easy. And if you want a certain question to be asked, you can say the date wise, right? If I want to do the date wise analysis and I press enter, so this is what it is saying that the date wise, okay, I can see that the date wise is certain words which is there. So it is showing me the date wise, okay, date wise product toaster, or it has given me some month, okay, month wise. If I search for, because date wise, I think there is no, not understanding. So if I say month wise, I think it is not recognizing as date. So that's why, right? So this is how you can see how you can do the analysis if there are the certain tools that can be used, and that is going to help you. Right, and most of the time, if you can see, take this data, you can do the analysis, you can create the dashboard, you can do the practice for this. And I just want to tell you 2-3 more things. When I go for a data, many times it happens that my single row has many, because once you use the checkbox, for the option, you will be getting all the data, and this data is separated with the comma, right? It happens, right? So like say when you say that it is where you have filled, where you have seen this questionnaire, it is seen in WhatsApp, or it is shown, it is you have received a mail, or you have done something else, right? So if you have taken many of the option, then you can see that the option which is available in when you download the Google Sheet, that is available in the single column, and you have the multiple records, multiple options. So in that particular case, you can use this column text option, right? So when you go to the column text, and you go to the delimiter, and then you can see that if you want to separate by the comma, and then you can have, so for that you can have a separate analysis, you can have a count of those, and then you can create a graph or something where you can have the multiple analysis based on the number of selections of who has selected A or B or C. So separate analysis that can be done, and how they can be separated, because if it is in the single column, you are not able to separate it. So how it can be separated? So you can use the text to column, and then you can have the separations that can be done. Right? So anything else if you want to ask, or if in the same data, if I want to go for the average, if I go for mean, median, and mode, I can use the options which is available. Similarly, so there is an option called average for the mean, right? So if I go for an average, and if I go for the average speed, and bracket close and enter, so I get an average of the time taken. Average is 55.17. If I go for the median, median is the middle value. So median, and then descriptive analytics will be taken by Vani ma'am tomorrow. She will be starting with the descriptive analysis, and then taking you to the regression. So then we will be having mode. So mode is the mode number of occurrence. So that these are the simple formula where you can have the mean, median, and mode. Right. So there is no modal solution, because the zero which has occurred maximum number of time, because the data which is not answered and not called. So not answered and not resolved. So it is having a 0 second. So this is how you can calculate, and the skewness also you can, dispersion also you can calculate by means of standard deviation. How the spread out is the data is, so there is a formula, there is a function called standard deviation. There is a function called range, where you can have the maximum minus minimum. There is a function for quartile also. So when you say equal to quartile, so if you say equal to quartile, it has two parameters. It has an array and it has a quartile. If you give the 1, then that is quartile 1. And if it is 2, then it is median. And if it is 3, then it is quartile 3. So in this way, you can divide the different range of the values into 3 parts or 4 parts. Then that is considered to be the quartile. So again, this will be covering by Vani ma'am tomorrow. So I just also share with you the today's attendance link and the feedback.
Ma'am, you have already shared the sheet.
Ask questions, yeah.
This sheet, this one.
Okay, ma'am, I am not able to see the screen if you are sharing one. Which one? Which screen, Pooja? Data you are talking about? Okay, I think this is the one. Okay, it is solved.
Monica ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
Generally, if you aim for a Scopus paper or something, what is the possibility if your data analysis is only done on Excel? Is it as good as doing it in, say, the
Yes.
other modes like Tableau or something?
Yes, yes. It is equally valid because because it is again depending upon if you're using Tableau, then you must be having charts or you must be having graphs or so.
Right.
So the main focus of any quality Scopus paper is you just have to go through their sample papers. So you just go through their sample papers and try to find out what type of analysis they are accepting. And based on that only you have to like say proper subheading, heading, because if they are talking about the scope, if they're talking about the need, right? So that has to be covered in the literature, in your literature. That has to be exactly the same. Then that will be easy for you to publish a paper. Else, because most of the time what I feel that they are asking for the same thing which was there in the paper and you had not provided them. Because they have a fixed way where they have to have an approach of certain headings and subheadings and what all to be covered in that. So if you're following exactly the same, then that will be, your work is easy. You don't have to send it again. That's what I feel. So if you have some sample papers, most of like say when you go for a Inter Science or something, you find that they have some sample papers available. So if they have some sample papers available, you can just download them. You can read certain papers which are of your area which is directly resemblance to your area, and then you can proceed with that particular journal.
Okay, fine.
That will be easy. Yes, anything else? Because using a Tableau or using a Excel doesn't make any difference, because the analysis remains the same. Even if you're doing it in SPSS, you have to draw a table in your Excel. Draw your table in the Excel and project it in your paper. So you will be doing the same.
Right.
Sometimes it has happened that you find that the table is too long. So you can take the screenshot, but most of the journal won't agree for the screenshot because that is not editable. So they want it to be in the Excel format so that you can make it as a landscape and then display that particular paper. So in most of the cases, you see that there are some paper which are portrait and some are landscape. So that is how they you can proceed with some of the pages which are there. But in some cases, if your data is too much visible, data is not too lengthy, then in that case you can consider to be taking a screenshot by either using a snipping use karke, you can take a screenshot or you can take a print screen and then copy and paste, so that you can incorporate in your window, in your this thing.
Fine. Thank you.
So this is the feedback link, which is the attendance link, which is there. And this is the feedback link. So I have shared the same link in your WhatsApp also. So those who have missed this thing, then that can be shared. The recordings are not available to us. Once it is available, we will be sharing it with you.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.